Clean the friggin' dirt out of your ears.
This week on iTunes, Karen Pirate brings you some broken shells straight from Nashville. We'll receive a call from 1970, and we'll celebrate Dylan Menzies' freshly dropped album with an iTunes flashback. Yous ready, PEI? Let's get her done! How's she going, Prince Edward Island? I am your host, Adam Michael James, and you are listening to iTunes for the week of September 8th, 2024. This portion sponsored by Technomedia. This portion is also the start of me bringing you yet another batch of music made by Islanders, made by those who now call the island their home, and made by those born here but left for more mainland pastures. And that's all this Come From Away has to say about that, so let's just get to the music already. When do you, and when does society as a whole, consider someone over the hill? 50? 45? 40? There are even some barely legals out there who think 30 is old. Well, you can't see it, but I'm holding up a big middle finger to all of that, having turned 55 this year. That's the age Karen Pirate was when she released her very first album, Scrapbook, last November, and through it weaves messages of putting ageism out to pasture. Buoyed by the success of her single Farm Girl with Attitude hitting number 17 on the Canadian Indie Country Countdown chart, Karen recently made a trip to Nashville, the capital of country music, to record some new tunes, one of which you're gonna hear right now. Chorus, in case you're greedy like I am, she's got more singles coming and a blues album with Mike Elliott coming in 2025. In the meantime, you'll just have to mend your broken heart with Broken Shells, a bit of honky-tonk balladry that qualifies Karen Pirate for an
iTunes World Premiere.
A quiet sandy beach and a cozy seaside cafe. The smell of ocean breeze and coffee join her thoughts every day. It's 15 years since he left her. The kids have all left home. If you ask her, she'll say she's doing okay, but sometimes she feels alone. Broken shells upon the sand, pieces of lives that once were, and they'll never ever go back together the way they used to be. Put those pieces in a jar, they're beautiful as they are. Broken shells making something new that we could not foresee. He fondly remembers as he comes for coffee each day, his wonderful wife of a decade before she passed away. He smiles as he passes the woman on the beach outside the cafe. He wonders if she'd like someone to walk with. Maybe there's a way. Broken shells upon the sand, pieces of lives that once were, and they'll never ever go back together the way they used to be. Put those pieces in a jar, they're beautiful as they are. Broken shells making something new that we could not foresee. Their eyes meet and she comes toward him. Could they be ready for a change. They share a coffee and a story or two. Broken shells rearrange, broken shells upon the sand. Pieces of lives that once were, and they'll never ever go back together the way they used to be. Put those pieces in a jar, they're beautiful as they are. Broken shells making something new that we could not foresee. Broken shells making something new we could not foresee.
Come on in, let the show begin. There's a fool knocking at my door. There's a fool knocking at my door. There's a fool knocking at my door. Come on in, let the show begin. Mama said I should be well. Mama said I should be well. Mama said I should be well. But I know what to do with a fool like you. Don't you know when you play with fire, you'll get burned by your desire. Fools never learn. Fools never learn. No, no. I got dead man shoes in my car. Dead man shoes in my car. Got all these dead man shoes in my car. I'll drive all night into the pale moonlight. Strange affair in the woods. A strange affair in these woods. Such a strange affair in these woods. And the wolves will sing a song of break
If a fool's knockin', don't come rockin'? Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that was some sultry moodiness from the Amanda Jackson Band here on iTunes. Fool Knockin' is the opening cut from their second album, Ocean, which came ashore in 2020. For this effort, Amanda and bandmates Dale McKee and Todd McLean holed up in a cabin deep in the island's woods, and as their website dictates, drew, quote, from powers of the wild Atlantic waters that surround, unquote. I don't know about you, but I could hear that influence in the song, because what is a greater tempest than love gone wrong? Okay, that may be a little too philosophical for a podcast about music, but while we're probing the depths here, let's look at music as a survival mechanism. Brodie Knockwood grew up on the reserve in Scotchford and not only had to endure racism, but the enduring effects of his grandfather being a residential school survivor. Like too many Indigenous families, Brodie and his faced poverty and addiction, with all the pitfalls that come with those. But rather than be taken down by it all, Brodie channeled it into rap and B-Knock was born. He released his albums Eardrugs in 2016 and Rez in 2019, and like this more recent single we're about to drop the needle on, B-Knock's music is unflinching. He pretty much dares you to keep eye contact with him while he breaks off some cold hard truth for us, and that's as it damn well should be. From 2021, this is Display of Dominance, which also addresses the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women. You may be cool with the stray F-bomb, but B-Knock's rhymes can be F-minefields, so don't say you weren't warned. Not after hearing this.
isletunes F-bomb alert!
Just gonna fucking rap. Fuck it. Thought I told you, bitch. It's go time. I've been grind mode since the COVID hit my coastline. I just hit the lab, grabbed the pen and pad, wrote rhymes most tried. Only difference is I did the shit the whole time. Learned how to make a beat, master and mix. I did the whole nine. Hillroy scribbler from school struck a gold mine. You still got stock from your merch drop? I sold mine. I know I'm the illest and they won't sign. I don't get the views or the listens, but I don't mind. Cause I know this is just a fraction of my most prime. Fuck a cosign. Open for my set, there's a limit to my showtime. Digging to my minutes and someone is getting clothesline. I will hold 9 figures for I'm finished, bitch, I don't die. Even in my casket, both eyes closed, shit I wrote in 09. Will be playing on the radio, a goat in my own right, no lie. I don't need a lift, I got my own ride. When I light a spliff, praise due to the most high. Wave deuce when he floats by, I stay true to the slow grind. Made use of all my old rhymes. How you gonna win when you lazy and you don't try? Multi-millions up for grabs and it's all mine. I just sold my Jordan Mocha ones for a loaded gun into moccasins. This one is for the foster kids. All the grapes they made in Tossicin are women that they rape and all the missing and forgotten. When they caught them while they're blossoming. To think that someone's daughter in the shit you got him caught up in. Makes me wonder what environment that you were brought up in. Please forgive our fathers in the system that we were locked up in. Visions of addiction or a prison, not the opposite. Coffin or depression, are you Christian, are you Protestant? Walk a thin line between the grave and us falling in. Most these rappers are just appetizers. Man, they just amateur, ain't been half the rhyming. I've been samurai, I've been savage since the doctor threw me at my mom with Ambien beside her. You too small time to shine, need a fucking magnifier. Rhymes are softer than the pussy lips on Reba McEntire. Bitch, the flow was ether, the speed I made to blow your speakers. You the king of go to go with either. Hold my beer, I'ma slit your fucking throat and throw your sneakers at my show. I show no fear or emotion, my motive is clear. I need to dawn, be on top of podiums. I made a classic off the raps I wrote a year ago. I'm ahead of my time, my class league, there was no one that's near. I'm the main attraction. I watch a set and say it's whack, we don't get the same reaction. I'm a maniac with 80,000 gigabytes of heater stashed away inside my brain. Beats I make from scratch. I've been saving till I'm famous, giving thanks for all my platinum-plated plaques. Yeah, this pen is fucking deadly, gotta watch out where I'm aiming at. Display of dominance. You wouldn't last a fucking day in a place that I was brought up in. Get caught for talking slick and face the consequence. I made a profit off my pain and gained a following. Every fucking song I make, the kids, they say astonishing. Gave you punks a treaty, it was on to you to break or honor it.
iTunes brings you the beats of Beanock as only he can drop 'em. Consider his dominance displayed. Coming up, Gene McClellan makes a personal call. The Darvel are back with a new single 2 weeks after their last new one, and Dylan Menzie? Yeah, he's just a North American dream kid. If knowledge is power, then imagine how powerful you're going to be after this slight detour into the subject of what came before on this island, which can only place you squarely in the know. That's what happens when you catch This Week in PEI History. September 9, 1854, Hazard's Gazette informed the public that a stray pole heifer had been on the premises of one James Robertson of Brackley Point Road, no E in Brackley, since about May 10th. The notice warned if the owner didn't come retrieve the cow, it would be offered for sale by public auction. Well, they had quite the beef about that, didn't they? September 12, 1881, the first meeting of the Historical Society of Prince Edward Island was held at Province House, of course, in Charlottetown. But someone must have said, "Don't get historical," because by September 1882, the society dissolved from an apparent lack of interest. Guess this was a case of history not repeating itself. September 12, 1900, the Daily Examiner announced that the Prince Edward Island Agricultural and Industrial Exhibition was to take place from September 25th to September 28th. Not only was it predicted to be, quote, one of the greatest displays of livestock, poultry, farm products, vegetables, and fruit ever brought together in the maritime provinces, unquote, there was to be $6,000 in prizes. Best estimate is that's hovering around $200,000 in today's money. But good luck finding the exhibition. Maybe everyone knew where it was because the notice didn't give a location. It only advised folks to write to a C.R. Smallwood for information, with no address. In care of the paper, maybe? September 12, 1947. While we're on livestock, the edition of The Guardian this day reported that the previous day, 70 employees of the local Canada Packers plant had gone on strike. PEI became the 7th province to do so, and strikers included butchers, meat processors, and laborers, though not office workers. Despite the picketing, some employees were allowed to stay in the plant long enough to finish processing meat already there that would have spoiled otherwise. Did you notice that almost all these entries had to do with beef? Not by design, and now this is making me want Wendy's.
Where's the beef?
Beef? Is not sponsorship the meat and potatoes of any podcast? That's my way of telling you is iTunes will be right back after a message from this sponsor. More music to come, go not away.
Looking to increase your digital presence? All you need is Technomedia. From branding to graphic design, website development, photography, social media campaigns, and more, Technomedia's got your back. With 30 years experience to back them up. Find them at technomediapei.com or call 902-368-3043. Technomedia. Let's create something together.
Hi, it's Gordon Belcher here from Guernsey Cove in Prince Edward Island, and you're listening to iletunes, which is a great project on the podcast scene. Glad to see it happen.
It's a long distance phone and I feel so alone here without her. It's a crime and a shame, I ain't got the change, and don't you know that I'm worried about her. I've been all over town, every street up and down, looking for the man. He's just a face in the crowd where the traffic roars loud, but don't you know he'd be proud to give a helping hand. Mister, can you find it in your heart to lend me $1? 'Cause the times happen slow, fresh out of dough, and I ain't got the money to call her. Throw my pride out the door, 'cause I've been turned down before, but I'll keep trying. This type of pain is kind of hard to explain, but the feeling's the same as like dying. You put the change in my hand, you're the world's kindest man, and I thank you, sir. You'll never know what you've done for this poor mother's son. A thirsty man just got a cold cup of water. Mister, can you find it in your heart to lend me $1? 'Cause the time's happen slow, fresh out of dough, and I ain't got the money to call her. Mister, can you find it in your heart to lend me $1? 'Cause the time's happen slow, fresh out of dough, and I ain't got the money to call her. Mister, can you find it in your heart to lend me $1? 'Cause the time's happen slow, fresh out of dough.
The island's own, the legendary Gene McClellan, with a place of honor here on iTunes. That's The Call from his self-titled album of 1970. So much history going on with that record. It was enough that this song landed Gene at number 15 on the Canadian RPM Country Tracks chart and number 91 on the Canadian RPM Top Singles chart. I mean, this from a PEI artist in 1970? But later that year, then burgeoning Canadian singer Anne Murray recorded her own version of The Call and had success with that. Of course, you likely already know that that wasn't the first Gene McClellan-Anne Murray connection. She blew up when she released her rendition of Snowbird, a song of Gene's that featured on his aforementioned self-titled album. See how it all ties together? Fiddle music is about as synonymous with Prince Edward Island as potatoes are. I'm surprised the Anne of Green Gables statue at Borden doesn't show her rosining up a bow. But just because lots of folks take up the fiddle when they're young, it doesn't mean they end up prodigies or releasing their own album. Cynthia McLeod was just 16 when she cut her first fiddle record, and even then she was already teaching fiddle to private students while she herself was still a student. She had 5 albums out between 2002 and 2012. This is from her second, 2004's Cracker Jack, released when she was 18. Oh, speaking of how things tie together, Gordon Belcher, whose voice you heard in the iTunes promo earlier, played guitar on this album. And its artwork was designed by Technomedia, the sponsor. I told you it all ties together. This track is notable because Cynthia is listed as the writer of the first part of this medley, which in its entirety is Corey Veld's Jig, Traditional, The Black Hoe. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I had to suppress the smirk too. Get your minds out of my gutter and enjoy the formidable fiddling of Cynthia McLeod on iTunes.
En devinant le coin de la rue, en devinant le coin de la rue, j'ai aperçu une grosse auberge. J'ai rentré prendre un petit coup. Après un, j'en ai pris deux. Je m'ai pas saoulé, mais ça venu pas mal proche. Et aussi proche, comme c'était proche, ça peut pas venir beaucoup plus proche. Et aussi proche, comme c'était proche, moi je vous dis sur la rue, je marchais tout croche. En devinant le coin de la rue, c'est en passant de coin de la rue, j'ai rencontré une jolie fille. Je la regardais comme si, je la regardais comme ça. Je l'ai pas embrassée, mais ça venu pas mal proche. Et aussi proche, comme c'était proche, ça peut pas venir beaucoup plus proche. Et aussi proche, comme c'était proche, moi je vous dis c'est la rue, je marchais tout croche. J'ai rentré dans mon logis, j'ai rentré par un châssis. C'est pas de la peur, mais c'est de la crainte de réveiller mon épouse. Quand je la l'aime beaucoup. Je l'ai pas embrassé, mais ça venu pas mal proche. Et aussi proche, comme c'était proche, ça peut pas venir beaucoup plus proche. Et aussi proche, comme c'était proche, moi je vous dis sur la rue, je marchais tout croche.
Jamais vu de quoi si proche.
Chuck and Albert sur isletunes from their 2009 album Énergie. The song, En devinant le coin de la rue, or turning the corner of the street. That's at least one translation. I don't know what the French word is for goofball, but that's an apt description of both Chuck Arsenault and Albert Arsenault, who used to thrill island audiences with their high-spirited live shows, which included a suitcase as a kick drum with cow bones and an antique pie pan also providing percussion. But don't let that make you think these guys aren't extremely talented musicians and serious about both preserving and reinterpreting songs collected by island historian Georges Arsenault. It all makes sense. Old-time Acadian music is filled with examples of using humor to deal with being deemed second-class citizens by their Anglophone neighbors and with the pennilessness that seemed to come with being Acadian. It was both a way of keeping their spirits up and laughing at these predicaments. It's been 15 years since Messieurs Chuck and Albert recorded this album. I hope maybe there's a reunion tour on the horizon sometime soon. Sean Passmore just digs music, so much so that he not only creates his own, he documents and celebrates all music on his long-running Song of the Day Club blog and his brand new Rock and Roll Fashionistas podcast. Hey, podcasts gotta help each other out. Maybe it's not a coincidence that Sean's show debuted in 2024, the 20th anniversary of his album Uppsala, which was inspired by a stop in Uppsala, Ontario on the way to the Winnipeg Folk Festival. The Ontario town was named for Uppsala, Sweden, which I've been to, but unlike its Swedish namesake, a garage in the Ontario version Sean stopped at boasted a giant preserved fish named Waldo. Well, if that ain't enough fodder for inspiration, I don't know what is. Here's a track that has some foundation in the passage of time having an effect on one musically, just ain't cool anymore, from Sean Passmore, passing the grade on isletunes.
Prophecy tough love, groupies, practice safe sex, and sell suburban house husbands and a frigid rest. It's all been done before, it's just an occupational hazard, like the rehashed and the remixed and the redone and the re-released to say I'm just ain't cool anymore. It 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 just ain't cool now, she child. Just ain't cool now. Hare Krishna hitchhike with money only by sight. Steps on the face of promiscuity and rides. To Kathmandu on Jack Kerouac's mule, they're gonna take on that town and all its terrible crew. He shacked up with Joan of Arc instead. Now he prays to the music. There's a humming from her head, and I said, it just ain't cool anymore. It just ain't cool anymore. It just ain't cool now anymore. Just ain't cool now anymore. It just ain't cool now, she child. Just ain't cool now, yeah. The Free Love Flower Power Festival's been out of war. They own their remains out of the excess wars with fishing balls emerged in the Sahara Desert sand. They hooked for seahorses in the midnight sunny rim. He was looking for an empty room, maybe just stare out gloves and said, man, just ain't cool anymore. The setting sun might set now. It's setting, slave by wet, 'cause Mojo Rising's dead.
Sean Passmore bringing his declarative statement to iTunes just ain't cool anymore. I feel I must refute that statement, Sean. As I mentioned, his Rock and Roll Fashionistas podcast has just gotten started with 3 episodes for you to listen to thus far. Still to come, Milks and Rectangles unring a bell, the Darvel plays pretend, and Dylan Menzie gives us a present for his 30th birthday. Got a hankering to see some PEI bands live on stage, but don't know when and where they're performing? Well, that's why you've got iTunes, and this segment called Gigs to Dig across Prince Edward Island. Tuesday, September 10th, the Devil's Punch Bowl is playing Baba's Lounge. Wednesday, September 11th, Carrie Lynn is at Founders Hall, but if you miss her there, she's over at the Gahan House the next day, September 12th. Also on the 12th, Route 225 is at the Poorhouse. Island Jazz Quartet is at Baba's Lounge. And Jeannie and Charles start the first of 3 nights at Central Queens United Church in Hunter River. They will be there September 12th, 13th, and 14th. Friday, September 13th, Dennis Ellsworth is at the North Bedeck School Hall in North Bedeck, and he'll be including some new tunes from his EP Luna coming out that day. September 13th, also Richard Wood is at King's Playhouse in Georgetown, and the Soma Festival is happening at the island's own Absolute Losers will be on stage September 13th, and Norder September 14th, both at the Cavendish Beach Festival grounds in Cavendish. Looking into next week, September 15th, it's Surrey songs including Nick Donoff, Carly Howell, and Matthias Kom from The Burning Hell. They are all at the Surrey Show Hall in Surrey. September 16th, Carrie Lynn is back at the Charlottetown Port, and September 19th, it's Island Jazz Groove Company at Baba's Lounge. Don't forget, we still have some summer concert series happening because summer is not over. Not for another 2 weeks anyway by the calendar. Gordon Belcher has his Back Home Tonight series, September 9th and 16th. Those are his last 2 shows over at Stanley Bridge Hall, so get over there and see him. Ladies of the Canyon featuring Brielle Ansems, Joss Realm, Alicia Toner, and Keelan Wedge. They are performing selected dates through September 28th at Harmony House in Hunter River. Two Tellers and Tunes with Gary Evans and Alan Buchanan featuring Courtney Hogan Chandler and more. That's all happening Mondays through September 30th at King's Playhouse in Georgetown. Richard Wood continues his Evening of Celtic Music series Saturdays through September 28th at Stanley Bridge Hall. And Ross Family Kegley presents Gone is the Kerosene Lamp with 3 final dates for them, September 9th, 18th, and 25th at Florence Simmons Hall.
Hi, this is Andy McDonald from 2 Hours Traffic and Golden Cinema, and you're listening to isletunes.
That is Juices and Circles. Sorry, that's not right. Diet Pops and Dodecahedrons? Not for real. That's Milks and Rectangles and iTunes with Unring a Bell from their 2010 EP Troubleshooters. Mind you, that was one of 2 EPs they released that year. When you think about it, it's kind of amazing that this band got anything recorded at all. Ahead of their 2009 debut, Christian Ledwell was bouncing back and forth between the island and Halifax, Justin Outerland was studying to be a large animal veterinarian, and Brandon Williams was at sea as a Coast Guard hopeful. Not exactly an environment in which to create music, but they pulled it off, and a hallmark of all their output is Christian's penchant for wordplay and double meanings, which I suspect was involved in the creation of this band name. Now, one of my unspoken rules with this show is not to play an artist too soon after I've just played them. I mean, I kind of had to when it first started because I only had so many artists, but even then I wanted to properly rotate the acts I had so as to give everyone a turn in the spotlight. I still prefer to do that, but I'm about to break that rule right here. I have to, and it's not my fault that these guys just debuted a song 2 weeks ago, only to debut another song now. See, 2 weeks ago, the Darvel both released Kindred, their first track since their 2022 self-titled album, and performed what they billed as their final show. You may remember then I was a bit flummoxed by their outcoming of new material if they were hanging up their instruments. Well, I've learned since that the band has indeed broken up, as the Darvel dudes are going their separate ways, holidays, with some moving and or going off to school. So they wanted to end their 5-year run on a high note. And therefore, I'm going to interpret these new songs as parting gifts. Time to unwrap this one. Isletunes brings you Play Pretend from the Darvel, which is not pretending to be an
Isletunes World Premiere.
I wallow in partial indifference. On the shelf I will swallow my pride. I stare at the wall of my wishes. Lack of action, I'll take it in stride. A deceiver that likes to deceive her. Masked opinions as matter of fact. She knows of this game we're both playing, and she knows that I'll never say that. I never can seem to hold on to all these romantic lies. In the sea of her eyes, she's leading me on, and she's asking my name again. Wish I could know when to pull away. No, I must leave. Try my best to stay. She knows what she's done, and she knows it's not fair. I declare in the curls of her hair. She's leading me on, and she's asking my name again. It's a game of patiently waiting, but impatience has conquered all in. In this pair of dice I found paradise, even though I know that I can't win. She always comes back to the table as the chips of her sword get her served. She'll use the device in my vices. We both know it's just what we deserve. I thought I would leave, but I stayed for a while, looking down at the craft of her smile. She's leading me on, and she's asking my name again to play pretend.
Play Pretend, which may well be the Darvel's final release on iTunes. And Obvi, even going out, these guys ain't playing. I did plan on having a new interview for you guys this week, but a health issue got in the way in terms of my interviewee, and certainly that can't be helped. So while we're breaking rules over here, I'm going to dip back into a past interview conducted only 2 months ago. There's a reason for that. You see, back in July, Dylan Menzies put out the first single from his then upcoming album, North American Dream Kid, and he revealed that the whole record was coming out on September 6th, his 30th birthday. Well, he was true to his word, and NADK did in fact hit on Friday, so why not revisit that earlier chat and get re-scooped as to what inspired this new album, and maybe we'll use that as an excuse to lead into a second song from it. How about it? Getting dreamy with Dylan Menzies, that is, as you experience this
Isletunes Flashback.
The artist who's now with me in the Isletunes studios, otherwise known as my basement, has been blazing his own trail on the island the past 11 years. Starting with his first album, 2013's Heather Avenue, he's released a string of records, culminating with the 2022 collection Modern Classic, which certainly became that, given it picked up both ECMA Rising Star of the Year Award and Songwriter of the Year at the Music PEI Awards. Now he's back with his soon-to-be released North American Dream Kid, and he's here to talk about it. Who else could I be referring to except Dylan Menzies? Dylan, thank you for taking the time to come hang out and chat amongst all the pre-release prep.
Well, thank you for inviting me over, Mike. I'm really glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. Now, in your bio, you described your past self as a nerdy skater kid.
Yeah, that is true.
So how did you make the transition from that to becoming a songwriter, and do you still skate?
I do. I still skate, but I kind of always did a bunch of everything.
Mhm.
You know, when I was young, skateboarding was kind of my life. My dad built this massive skate park in our barn.
Oh, that's cool.
And we had we would have riders from all over the East Coast come, BMX riders. My brothers all did it, but at the same time, like I have 2 older brothers and 1 younger, and the middle brother was really into skateboarding and biking, so that's how I got that. And then the older one was really into music. So we had instruments everywhere, we had ramps everywhere, it was all happening at the same time.
I'm sort of imaging you playing guitar and being on the skateboard at the same time.
Yeah, there's actually a really amazing sound that comes from the guitar when you're on a skateboard. It's got this really awesome whooshing sound when it goes to
like
the
a
sound hole.
Doppler effect.
Yeah, it's great. I've always wanted to record it, but I can't get you'd have to go right by a microphone or something. I don't know.
That's true.
But yeah.
It's kind of funny because I was sort of being facetious about you playing while you're skateboarding. So now that finding out you actually have done it, it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I used to. My first instrument was the fiddle, and I used to also do like these sort of circus tricks. I was like, I loved doing hula hoop, and I would play fiddle and stand on a basketball at the same time. And like, I have all these useless talents.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you could use some of that with touring.
Yeah, maybe.
Your music has also been described as indie pop Americana. How did you hit upon that sound, and how does that inform your songwriting?
I don't really know. That was told to me. Somebody said this is indie pop it is indie pop Americana, and I don't always know what that means. And sometimes I go more of like a poppy mentality. Sometimes I go more of like a really folky songwritery thing. And I just like writing songs, whatever that ends up being in the end. I kind of try and treat everyone as its own piece, and whatever it tends to be in the end is what it is.
You just do what you do. And,
exactly. And I follow whatever the song wants to be. And then that gets me to a place that I guess is described as indie pop Americana.
Shifting gears for a minute, I've read that you had a limited podcast series.
I did.
Highlighting maritime artists. So have I been encroaching on your territory all along?
Absolutely not. No, I mean, I'm a big advocate for like just getting people's word out, the word out about people, and I think it's pretty amazing what you're doing here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, and I'm sure I'm not the only artist that does. And for me, I wanted something, first of all, that like I could do during the pandemic, because that's when it came out. And yeah, I just wanted to talk to friends of mine and kind of talk to them about, well, first of all, I think dreams are they're a really interesting place to start, because instantly, as soon as you start asking like, what is your worst nightmare or that you've ever had, like you're diving into fears, you're diving into a deeper version of this person, you're finding out like all these details about their life through their dreams. And it's just really interesting to get to know somebody through that light. And it was really fun. And then most of the time, the dreams had nothing to do with their art that they made, and sometimes they did. Sometimes people would have, different paintings or songs that would come to them from their dreams, or visuals that came from their dreams and stuff. And I just thought it was really interesting.
I am speaking with Dylan Menzie, whose North American Dream Kid album is getting ready to drop September 6th. So what inspired this new album, and what would you say is different about it compared to your multiple previous releases?
I think, what inspired the record was just literally, I had songs that I wanted to put out, and I kind of thought this collection was going to be a lot larger than it was, but we ended up being really, really hypercritical with this record, and I wanted to make a record that was all killer, no filler, and just if at any point on the record, if I was listening to demos that we had done or anything, and I felt myself drifting off or getting bored or whatever, or like there was a part that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, we completely axed the song.
Wow.
It's gone. And because I thought, if I'm feeling like this, then I'm not the only person that's going to feel like this. And I just want it to feel really good all the way through. So that's a huge change. And then, like I said, too, the difference between making a record like just everybody live off the floor, or even just like you being in the room with the studio musicians who are recording the parts, instead of kind of like recording it all separately and then coming together is a really big difference too. But the other major difference is I spent so long, like I've been working on it for 2.5 years or something. We recorded Russian Roulette, which was the first song that we did, like in 2021 at the end of, or 2022. And so it's been a long road of trying different things, working out parts especially. But it's also now that it's finished, I'm so proud of it, and I'm really excited for people to hear it.
The album is North American Dream Kid, which is out September 6th. Number 30 for this guy. I remember 30. The Dream Kid is Dylan Menzie, and it's been a genuine honor to get to meet you and to have you in here to talk about your music. All the best for the new record.
Thanks, Mike. It's really been a pleasure.
isletunes world premiere.
They're gonna love me for it when I do. Everybody knows you gotta give them something wicked, so don't act surprised when every major city is fighting for a ticket. They want a burger and fries, and they'll love me long after I die. The stars are calling my name out. North American, North American. And I've got a line on my dream house. North American. I'm gonna make a lot of money, then I'll fade out like a North American dream kid. They're gonna love me for it when I do. Oh, the stars are calling my name out. North American. And I've got a line on my dream house. North American. I'm gonna make a lot of money, then I'll fade out. North American dream kid. North American dream kid. North American dream kid. North American dream kid. North American dream kid.
Dylan Menzie with the title track from his new album just released Friday. That's North American Dream Kid on iTunes. I forgot to tell him when we talked that I created music around my 30th birthday too, an 11-minute opus called Hurricane 30, which is how I viewed aging back then. It was an electronic mishmash that sampled the alien communication sound from the movie Contact and then went into an Austin Powers-esque 60s break since I was born in 1969.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Gotta upload that on Bandcamp for y'all one day. I do have some of my own songs there, you know. It's sad, yeah, but I gotta do it. This episode of iTunes is over. But if you've got suggestions or comments or requests, email me at amj@iTunes.ca or leave a voicemail on 902-807-4250. That's also how you can send an Islanderism to me. You know, you saying an island saying. The one you heard starting this hour came from Trevor Lowe Clements. Come follow the show. Become an Isle Tuner on its socials. Facetick, Instatalk, Book Instagram. Well, you know what I mean. It is through these platforms that I also post links to where you can buy music you hear on the show, so avail yourselves of those. The artists will thank you. As well, these links go up on isletunes.ca, which is also how you can donate to the podcast via its little PayPal donation button. Failing that, the PayPal link is in the description of this episode wherever you're listening to it. Another way to support the show is by becoming a subscriber on Patreon. There's some outside the show videos for subscribers to watch there, so hit patreon.com/isletunes. Every little bit goes toward making iTunes happen, so I thank you truly, I do. This episode of iTunes was sponsored in part by Technomedia. Musical contribution to the iTunes theme by Kayla McCauley and John Hashem. Show concept by Rocky O'Neill. Coordination assistance by Jackie Robichaux. I'm Adam Michael James, and next Sunday I'll have another grouping of island songs sashaying down the iTunes runway for you. And that's because around here, PEI music is always in fashion. Whether you're snatched or it's just your jammies that are on point, it matters not. Keep tuning in and encourage everyone in your circle to. Maybe we can make iTunes more popular here than Cavendish, and you don't even have to be in Cavendish to hear this thing. Until next time, my dudes, dudettes, and everybody in between, be good. And if you can't be good, be good at it. See us next week, and thanks for listening, PEI.